Well, Derek Carr's shoulder spelled doom against a feisty Buccaneers defense.
Dolphins Bills, Tua versus Josh. Will the hype match the game?
And we're heading across the pond to see if the Jaguars can get their season back on track.
Zach Wilson, is this finally the week the Jets make the change?
All that and more as we go over week 4 on Sunday Scaries with Buccs McGee.
Welcome back to Sunday Scaries with yours truly, Buccs McGee, and my main man, Nutmeg 2 Palmetto. Week 4. It continues. The Jets, the continued mess, Dolphins, Bills, and maybe some more Swiftapalooza.
Oh,
Nutmeg, how we doing, man?
as Travis Kelce continues to write his love story.
Good Lord, man. I can't, man. That's what the NFL's turned into.
I would try to work more song titles in, but I guess I'm not that big enough of Swifty.
I think it's okay, man. I think it's all right. But think about it. Tom Brady leaves, and this is what we're left with. Swifties, the Jets are beyond repair. It's just a mess. What has happened to the NFL?
Maybe that's why she waited to date an NFL superstar. She waited till after Tom left to avoid any unnecessary rumors and drama.
She knew she had no chance with the greatest of all time. She knew. So, hey, what are you going to do? But yes, week 4, sir. I don't know. I'm excited. For what? I don't know. It's a hodgepodge of fun, I guess.
Hodgepodge is right. A hodgepodge, of course, wound up being the result in the Thursday opener this week for this week's opener, I should say. And new quarterback, same old story, just as last season ended with a Lions victory shattering Packers fans' hearts. The Lions roll into Lambeau this week, and we thought it was going to be close. We thought this might be a little bit of a tussle for first place, but the Lions got out in front. They built up a lead. The Packers never kind of got back into it. And we kind of thought, based on how we've been conditioned by the Packers this year, that they'd get back into it in the second half. They did not.
No, not at all. This game was interesting. The Lions went in there, and I think the Lions are maybe more comfortable playing at Lambeau than anywhere else. Like, let's be realistic. They walked in there, no fear, and just took it to the Packers. That defensive line, Hutch, that man's a beast. Man is an absolute beast.
Oh.
That O-line could not handle. Now I know they had some injuries. Bakhtiari was hurt and some other guys, but Packers just couldn't handle that rush. The rush was insane. Secondary played well, even though they got banged up a bit during the game. But they held up well, and Goff was solid.
Yeah, and it looks like Bakhtiari is going to season-ending injured reserve, which is obviously not good for Jordan Love. And it begs the question that we ask every week: will the real Packers please stand up? Do they get a pass with all these injuries, or is this Packers team now after 4 games? Is this just the Packers team that they are?
I think you almost have to say maybe this is what they are. Maybe it's a point now where Bakhtiari needs to maybe they need to move on. Because let's be honest, he's been injured the last few years. He's been in and out of that lineup. He hasn't been healthy completely. And I think sometimes they've rushed him back just to have him.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't run the ball for anything. Like, the run game was non-existent.
Yeah.
Watson didn't really show up till the second half of the game. They couldn't throw the ball. It's just, I think this is what the Packers are. And, I can't say anything bad about Jordan Love because this is his first year. So this is his first action. This is him getting it out. So I think Packer fans really have to temper. There's going to be some games where he's going to probably do some good things, and there are going to be some games like Thursday where it just isn't there. Plus, it didn't help that the Lions have no fear. The Lions have no fear. That Packer mystique when it comes to the Lions is non-existent. Lions are like, we don't care. We're going to come in here and we're going to play and pretend like we're at Ford Field. We don't care. And I think it also comes from the coach, Coach Campbell, who is, everyone loves him.
MCDC.
I'm telling you, man, I think there are a lot of other teams that would wish they had him. Let's be realistic. So, no, I think this is what we're going to get from Green Bay. Hopefully they can turn it around, get that O-line straightened out. But right now, first quarter of the season, it's not looking too hot.
Now, let's turn the attention towards the Lions. As you said, as you alluded to, the Lambeau's turning into a little bit of Ford Field North. That I feel like they almost tried to put on their best Miami Dolphins impersonation, going heavy with both running backs. Gibbs obviously didn't perform as a Chan did, his rookie equivalent, but Montgomery certainly put up his best Mostert impersonation. Heavy running, scored a lot of touchdowns. So, I mean, could this be if Gibbs could be the Gibbs we kind of think he is this obviously this takes a lot of pressure off of Jared Goff.
Oh, for sure. But as I watched the game, it felt like there was a lot more Montgomery than there was Gibbs.
Yeah.
It's like it felt like for every 3 possessions Montgomery had, they would bring in Gibbs for 1. So it was like Gibbs was like the topping. It was like the topping to, Montgomery's, full course there. I think they need to get him involved a little more, maybe earlier in the game. Yeah. Now, is Gibbs going to be your pass only back? Because he had some nice runs in the game. He could, in between the tackles, he wasn't that bad. Of course, Montgomery just put his head down and ran through. Like, I was impressed with Montgomery. I didn't think he would be as good as he's been so far this year. So I've been impressed with him.
And
but
I think if anything, it would have been the other way around. Gibbs would have
exactly. I thought that Gibbs was going to be the main guy, and Montgomery was going to be the complimentary guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's a situation that they're taking it slow with him, and as the season progresses, they're going to level out, the plays with them. But I would have liked a little more offense from Gibbs. But when Green Bay can't stop a nosebleed, you just go with the guy who's hot. And yeah. Montgomery had 3 touchdowns and did what he needed to do.
Right. Teams that also need to do what they need to do. One, of course, is the crown jewel of this weekend as we go into our top 3 games, and that is this AFC East Clash, or just AFC Clash in general, between Miami Dolphins and Buffalo Bills. Now, it's in Buffalo, but it's still early-ish in the season, so it shouldn't be too cold as the Dolphins normally have a problem with historically. But it's not too late into the season yet. The Bills, we've seen them really get their wheels under them in the last couple of weeks, but they've been playing significantly inferior competition. And Miami, of course, has been all aces. They are dogs, which is probably just due to the fact that they're on the road. But do you think that there's any chance that Buffalo stands up and says, hey, I know you're the hot team right now, but this is AFC still our turf until we state otherwise? I mean, I guess technically it's the Chiefs' turf, but you know what? Forget about that for a minute.
If you're talking AFC East turf, I guess, so the number 2 spot, I think Buffalo is going to have to play a near perfect game if that's what they want to do. I don't feel that Buffalo matches up really well with Miami. I think Miami's just a faster team. I think Miami can score at any time. Buffalo, they've played better as of late, but like you said, it was inferior talent. It seems like Miami's played better talent in the beginning of the season. So I think Miami has no fear, and Miami's like, we can play with anybody, and they've proven it. So I think Buffalo needs to play near flawless. We can't have, Allen running and turning the ball over in the end zone and the turnovers, the interceptions late. We need to see some more from the run game. The run game needs to be really present, I think, this week. And Diggs needs to really show up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if their defense can really hold those guys. Waddle's coming back. I believe Waddle's a go for this week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's full complement of, wide receiver speed. And I don't know if Buffalo can hang with that. So it's going to be interesting. Buffalo's going to have to slow the game down. I think that's key. They're going to have to slow the game down and force Miami to play their brand of ball.
Put on your Bill Belichick hat for a minute. What's the best way to attack this Dolphins offense? Who do you need to take out? Who do you neutralize? Obviously, Tyreek is the barn burner, but what's the best way to pick apart this offense so they don't drop 40, 50, or 70 on you?
Well, if you could, maybe, turn off the electricity at the hotel, maybe cut off the water, something like that. Honestly, most teams back when Tyreek was in KC, the key was, you basically bracketed or doubled Tyreek, you kind of one guy high, one guy low. But the problem is that you got Waddle. It just feels like there's too much offense on this team. It's almost you pick your poison. I think you stop the receivers and you do your best to hold the ground game. I think that's what you have to do, because if the wide receivers get going, it's a wrap. It really is. It's whether you want to die slow death by the run, or you want the quick strikes. And if you're allowing Tua to sit in that pocket, so far this season, he's been incredible. He doesn't have to throw for 400 or 500 yards. He's great throwing for literally just 300 yards.
Yeah.
Literally.
As exemplified in that Broncos game, the fact that they put up 700 yards of offense and Tua only had 300 yards.
Exactly. So if your run game, puts up, let's say those two guys combined put over 200 yards, that's still pretty good. So I think Buffalo has to sit there and say, okay, what are we better at? Stopping the run or stopping the pass? I don't think those guys, I think they have solid corners. I don't know. I think I would try to limit what Tua can do and just hope you can stop the run. It's impossible right now.
Yeah. The only caveat to choosing, let's say, the pass over the run is the fact that, okay, if they score fast, that means they're not going to take as much time off the clock and you have a chance to go toe to toe. Do you think that's just a recipe for disaster?
The problem is can Buffalo, if Buffalo lets them score first and it gives them plenty of time, can Buffalo keep the ball? Can Buffalo run the ball to eat up clock? That's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't know if Buffalo can do that. I don't think their run game is there yet. I don't think it is. So it's okay. If you end up going 3 and out, then forget it. You're killing yourself. You can't go 3 and out. Let Miami score, but you've got to eat up clock. You've got to have 10, maybe 10, 12 play drives. You've got to eat up a good chunk of that clock to limit the time that they have with the ball. Because like you said, they're quick. They get the ball, boom. Okay, they scored. Now what do you do? If you have 2 or 3 and outs, it's a wrap because they're gonna score.
Yeah.
Even if it's a touchdown and 2 field goals, they're still putting up points. That at that point, they're putting up 13 on you for your every 7. It's just they have to control the clock. I think that is the way that they win. They control the clock and just grind it out. They can't go toe to toe with Miami. They don't have it.
Ooh, a little shots fired. I like it. I like it a lot. Your Tampa Bay Bucks, the first time this season, I think, in our top 3 game discussion.
I know. Look at that. 2-1, baby. 6.5 games, man. We're winning them 7 games. Woo woo.
Going up against a rival, a team that's very much been your ire in recent years.
Oh yeah.
Kind of replacing the role that the Jets used to play in your heart and mind.
Yes, yes. It's good to have some fresh blood to dislike strongly. It's good. It's good. It keeps you young, I'll tell you. Yeah, this game is going to be fun. Uh, Carr, it doesn't look like Carr's playing. I think Winston's the guy this week going in. And, Winston's solid. Like, he's got his LASIK, he's looking better. So I think it's a situation where the Bucs are nicked up a little bit in the cornerback department. I don't think Jamel Dean's playing this week. Carlton Davis is a game time decision. So,
Oh,
and I believe Devin White is limited as well. So it's going to be, we got to run the ball, point blank. The Bucs issue last week was running the ball. They couldn't run the ball, could not do it. They've got to be, for that offense to be successful, they have to run the ball. You can't have Baker sitting there and just being pass happy. It's not going to work. He's not comfortable doing it. You got to be able to run the ball. So if that is an issue this week, everyone's talked about, a certain, running back being available from a place called Indianapolis, and maybe the Bucs, ponying up a little. Don't know, but maybe it's something they need to look into because the Bucs need to run the ball. They have to. So
don't do a 1-for-1. You keep Rashad right where he is.
hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. With the Saints, I need to see some explosion from that team. They aren't exactly lighting the world on fire either. Like I've said, everyone was like, "Oh, here comes Carr, the man on the white horse. He was going to turn this into an elite team." They handed the division to them, and it's really not that great. Yeah, I think Kamara's back this week, so you're going to see how he, fits into the offense. It's going to give him probably a bit of a boost in the run game, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. I'm sure Evans and Lattimore will go at it at some point, like they always do. That's usually the highlight of the game.
Another bench clearing brawl.
We'll see what happens. That's the fun part. But it could be an interesting game. Early, possible, division implications. But it's going to be interesting to see if the Bucs can run the ball, and we're going to see what the Saints do. The Saints may just let Winston just whip the ball around the field. I don't know.
Well, how do you think the Saints backfield stacks up carries wise? With Kamara, with Kendra Miller, if Jamal Williams is back, how do you think they kind of manage all the touches for their litany of backs?
It's going to be interesting to see because that Kamara's back. He's at the head of the line right off the bat. So is Kamara going to be more of the pass back for them? During passing downs, is he going to be is that what he's going to work it into? But the other two, those just might be your ground guys. Both of them, seem to be able to catch the ball a little bit. So I think that's going to be key. I think Kamara does open up the pass for them a bit more now. It's just going to be, I think whoever's going to have the hot hand is going to be the guy who's in there. That's usually how it works. Whoever's the hot guy takes the carries.
Let's assume rest is all Carr needed. Which quarterback actually poses the bigger threat to Tampa's defense? Is it Winston or is it Carr?
Wow. Honestly, I don't. The problem is I'd probably say Carr. I think Carr has a little bit better when it comes to running with the ball. I think he moves out of the pocket a little better than Winston does.
Yeah.
So I would say Carr. I think Carr's a little more athletic. So Carr would probably be the one.
You spent all this time talking up Jameis Winston, but now you'd actually prefer to play against him.
I don't mind Jameis. I think the guy had some issues and stuff. Like when he played in Tampa, the man threw the ball all over the place. Just he was half blind.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic here. I think he needed to mature a bit. He had the talent coming out of Florida State. There's no doubt about it. I just think it was a maturity situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he was able to sit behind somebody for a couple years, I think he probably would have been in a better spot. Like really sat behind somebody. But this is the path of an NFL quarterback. So now this is what it is. I would have thought he would have been the starter this year going
Yeah.
in New Orleans. I don't think they gave him a real chance. So hopefully, maybe this is some film that he puts up, and who knows, maybe a team that is looking for a quarterback come trade deadline says, hey,
Yes. Yes.
JTS. So wow, that's so bad. We gotta leave that team alone.
I know.
No, it's so much fun. I'm kidding, but it very well could be. Let's say somehow the Jets are somehow a game maybe out of 500 or something. You bring Winston in, he's going to stretch the field. He's going to throw the ball. So you never know. This could be what Jameis needs, because I think he should get a chance to start somewhere. I think he's a decent enough player where he could be. He's definitely better than Zach Wilson. He could be starting for New York.
Yeah. Maturity is a big thing, and it's maybe sitting behind somebody would have taught him not to steal crab legs.
At least it was crab legs, man.
That's true. Could have been cars.
Good Lord. Jeez.
Anyway, I digress.
Yes, you do, sir. Yes, you do.
The third top 3 game this week, and at first I questioned a bit putting this in the top 3 game because the Eagles are giving 9 to Washington, and you would think on paper that Philly would roll this team, especially coming off of last week where Buffalo rolled this team. But we have to remember, dial back to last year, on top of the fact that, of course, this is a divisional matchup, and divisional matchups never typically come easy. Dial back to last year, the Eagles got off to an 8-0 start. Mm-hmm. And who was the team that put that first notch in the right-hand column? It was these Washington Commanders. Here, I said Commanders. You happy?
I don't have hey man, it's not my call. Call him something. I'm cool. Hey man, we're just here to talk sports, man. Just let's
So what are the odds that we could have a repeat of last year's upset that derailed? Well, I guess they didn't derail their season. They still got to the Super Bowl, but gave them a little bit fresh dose of reality. Or is Philly just going to come in here and dispose of Washington pretty quickly?
I think Philly's going to have their way. Here's my thing. I believe Philly's going to sit there and say, well, and I'm sure Philly remembers this. I'm sure Philly remembers that this was the first team to beat them last year.
Mm-hmm.
Teams remember these things, and they're going to sit there and say, no, we're not going to let this happen. The Washington team is, it's a little different. They've got a new quarterback, new offensive coordinator. So, I'm sure they'll have some tricks and things like that. But I just think Philly's way too strong. Like, really, that O-line and D-line are no joke. Wide receivers. Swift is running the ball ridiculously.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Washington can stop it. If they let Buffalo do that to them, I really am scared to see what Philly does.
But so you think that the way Philly's season is gone, obviously the Tampa game, they looked a little bit better than the first 2 games, but you think that you've seen enough out of Philly to believe that this is the same Philly team that was in the Super Bowl? They don't have any rush to shake off.
I think the passing game still needs to develop a bit more. The run game is on point. Like, let's be realistic here. The run game is on point. Swift is on fire. So the run game is there. The passing game is still it came alive a little bit in Tampa. I still think you need to see a full, complete pass game from Philly. Mm-hmm. And this could be the game. This could be the game where, all of a sudden, Hurts throws for 330, 340, 3 touchdowns, and, just looks good. Looks good in the pocket. I don't know. I don't know if Washington has that push up front to really disrupt them. I don't think they do. They have athletes up on the front 7, but it just seems like they're either hurt or it just never jives. So no, I think Philly handles business.
How much do they handle business? Do they cover the 9?
Yeah, I would say they would. I would say they would. Unless something horrible happens in that game, they cover the 9. I think. There's no way I think you can go against it. You know, like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith would have to come down with the stomach bug at the same time. Swift would have to twist an ankle, can't tie a shoe or something. Like something horrible would have to happen. I think they cover it. I'm not saying that Washington isn't going to put in the effort. Maybe it's a situation where first quarter is a little closer than Philly would like it to be, but I think at that point Philly, with their coaching and everything, they'll figure it out, and then at that point they'll just pull away.
Hopefully Jalen does look at Devontae Smith a little bit more this week, because I felt good last week for my fantasy team when he caught that big pass. And then I don't know if he caught it. It got another target the rest of the game.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, man. You like to, with someone who likes to dabble in the underdog, and you needed a couple extra yards, and those yards don't happen. You're like, you really couldn't throw him the ball. I'm like, just throw the ball. I'm losing this game. Just throw him the ball. I've resigned to the fact I'm not winning this game. Just throw him the ball. A little 6-yard curl or something, and I'm golden. No, we want to run and, whatever. But, yeah, it just seems like the pass game isn't there. And the thing is Goddard has been nearly non-existent in that offense. And people are starting to talk about it. So this could be the game where the passing really comes front and center.
Yeah.
So
we'll come front and center and make some gold for you this week. We're going to kick it over to Donnie Dolla Signs for his gambling picks for week 4. And maybe he even gives us a little State of the Union on the New York Football Jets.
Listen to his words. Listen.
We're going to make it rain this year.
Chase, happy fall, everybody. Very depressing being a Jet fan. I don't wear this hat with pride. I really believe nobody should support the Jets until Wilson is gone. What Salah is doing is a slap in the face that they keep sticking with this guy. But anyway, we're here with the picks. So this week, we're going to go with the Colts money line at minus 106. There's no point in taking the points. Hey, just shows you what a good backup could do. I think the Colts win this game. I know there was a pass interference that should have been called against the Ravens, but still, the Colts, they hung in there the whole game. They're home. Their defense is good, and Minshew's a good backup. We're going to go with the Browns minus 2.5 over the Ravens. The Browns are my pick to win that division, and their defense is solid, and Ford, he's picking up right where Chubb left off. So we're going to go the Browns there. We're going to take the Pats 6.5 over the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys will win, but I believe the Pats will cover. I mean, the Zeke looked like old school Zeke versus the Jets, of course. So I'll take the Cowboys. The Patriots at getting 6.5. And then our last bet is going to be a prop bet for Kelsey. Of course, with all this Taylor Swift bullshit going on, I'm going to take Kelsey to get 2 touchdowns because he's going to try to show off and do his thing. And, of course, it would be no other team to do that on in the New York Jets. So we're going to have Taylor Swift in the house. Kelsey's going to score probably 3 or 4 touchdowns, but I think 2 is good. So, all right, so we're going to go Colts money line, Browns 2.5, Patriots getting 6.5, and Travis Kelsey to make it rain on the New York Jets. And hopefully by halftime, Zach Wilson will be gone. Well, happy fall, everybody, and Chase, back to you.
Thanks, Donnie, for your picks. And man, I feel for a guy. I've never seen him more dejected being a Jets fan.
Seriously, and I've known some Jets fans in my lifetime, and I really feel for them. I really do. Wow.
That's the first time you've ever said you felt for a Jets fan?
Yeah, all the other people, I was like, whatever. Oh, well, that's life. Fumble and all. Move on. This one hurts. It's like, wow, you really feel it.
Yeah. Speaking of the Jets, as we know, the Taylor Swift craze has creeped over the kingdom of the Arrowhead. and Chiefs roll into New York for I believe it or not, and this one surprised me a little bit. It's Patrick Mahomes' first game in New York.
Yes, which
New
you
Jersey,
think about it,
New York.
it is what it is. But yeah, like he's 6 years in the league, and now here he is. It's kind of weird,
Yeah.
And what was funny is I heard that the tickets on average were like $75, for this game. Like tickets were low. Like low end was 75, and now they've shot up to over 300. Why? Because supposedly Miss Taylor herself, Miss Swift, is gonna be there. All of a sudden, all the Swifties want to see the Jets play. It's gonna be a sellout.
She's gonna be this freaking big up in the box, up in the owner's box. Like
the fact they were in the same arena, and she was there, and they were all watching it together. The Jets are gonna jump on that. They got to sell the tickets. Come on, look where they're at. They're like, shoot, I'm surprised they don't have like T-shirts, Swifty T-shirts. There you go. Exactly. So it's. Yeah, this is going to be the highlight, I guess. And
I guess.
Hopefully, hopefully this game isn't on TV because I really don't want to watch this because I really don't need to watch Taylor Swift for like it was last week. I don't need that.
Not only is it going to be on TV, it's on Sunday night.
Oh, that's right. It's right. Sunday night game. That's right. Wow, that slipped off. Fudge. Well, I know what well, so be it. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. The name of the love.
We might be recording our recap segment, our recap show at halftime.
Honestly, this Lord, this game is not going to be good.
Is there any shot at all that the Jets can keep this within 10 points?
Yeah, if Kansas City doesn't show up. If Blaine Gabbert starts, you sit Travis and Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore are your guys. Yeah, sure, no problem. No, there's no. Like this, I honestly believe this is the game that basically tells the tale of Zach Wilson. Yeah. It has to. Week 4, like if they get the doors blown off, at this point something has to happen. Like you won't bounce back from this. I don't care how many times Saleh sits there, at the press conference, Zach's our guy and we believe in him, and all those other guys say, oh, we believe in him. They're wearing these T-shirts that, trying to get everybody together. When Joe Namath is sitting there saying, you know what, get rid of him, get rid of Zach Wilson, it is what it is. Like, there's no saving this. The only way, if they lose, is if it's somehow like 19-13, and for some reason the Chiefs offense decides to take the night off and only put up 19, 20 points and lets the Jets just kind of hang around because they've got nothing to do. Yeah. That's the only way. They're going to blow the doors off. If you told me that the score was 73-20, I wouldn't be shocked.
It's so sad to me that like this Jets defense that was so heralded, even it just takes a quarterback that bad to put them in a situation where they're just going to be on the field so much, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter how good they are, because that's what Dallas did, and that was only after a week. That was only a week into the season.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to be able to survive. You're going to get tired. There's no way. Legit. This defense is probably just like, you know what? Doesn't matter what we do. We can't do anything because we can't score. And the way the Chiefs are built, because we know how this goes, it's the Mahomes show. They may start off slow. Maybe the Jets, catch them off guard first quarter, but they'll figure it out, and the Jets will lose. I think that regardless, and I let me retract. Unless the Jets win, Zach Wilson's getting replaced. Like, he has to. It just has to happen. I'm sorry. There's no moral victories. Jet fans don't want that. This team went from possible Super Bowl participant to
Laughing stock.
laughing stock in what, lottery pick?
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. So I don't. This game has the look of being extremely ugly.
Yeah. Yeah. Even more so if it is like that and it's a crooked number on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Speaking of crooked numbers, we have not one, but two winless bowls this week.
Ooh, man, who doesn't love a winless bowl, baby? Woo!
I know the one you want to talk about, so we'll get to that one second. So let's talk about this. Let's talk.
Why would you? Yeah, why? Because
Why would I assume which one you know you want to talk
why?
about? I know
why?
which one you want to
I
talk
post
about.
it, and there was love behind that. Love behind that. Come on. All right.
Minnesota Vikings, they've been a little bit of a bad luck team so far this year. I don't know if like the 0-3 necessarily tells the whole story. In Carolina, Bryce Young is back, and they're also 0-3, and mostly because they cannot keep Bryce Young off the turf and keep his head straight on right because he's lining up under the guard. So I know, just saying it sounds weird. Do you think that game? Do you think that Carolina, I should say, do you think Carolina can right those things with Bryce having a week off, being banged up, having a week off, can come in fresh start and take advantage of this kind of bad luck Vikings team, or is this the type of opponent that Kirk can just light up and at least feel a little better about himself and the end of his tenure in Minnesota?
I think this is the game. Finally, Minnesota, enters the winner's circle. I don't trust Carolina's offensive line. Like, I really don't. I think it's bad. Bryce, yeah, he's coming back from the ankle, and all. I just don't think they've meshed yet offensively. When your offensive line doesn't produce, I don't care what quarterback you are, you're going to have happy feet. You're not going to feel comfortable. And he's, his height, and I hate to go back to these things, but everybody does. His height plays an issue, and especially being that height and being a rookie, and you've got your offensive line that can't keep you upright, it's not a good sign. I think Minnesota at this point is primed for a win, and I think this is the opponent. I think there are going to be some points scored, but I think Minnesota pulls it out.
It's crazy to me how little Bryce does look behind on the field. Like we've seen small quarterback before. Drew Brees was like listed as a generous 6 foot. That was a small man, and he didn't look like quite the pygmy that Bryce Young looks next to his lineman.
And especially if your offensive line isn't producing and can't keep you upright, like it's going to cause them more problems. Like it's just bad there. They can't run the ball. They're not running the ball well. You picked up these weapons for Bryce, and we went to training camp and watched them, and of course it's training camp, but he looked sharp. Those guys looked good. But when the bullets are flying live, it's a totally different situation. And right now they've got to figure out the offensive line. I know defense is a bit banged up too, but they've got to figure it out. They really have to go back to the run game. They can't put this on Bryce and expect him to throw 30, 35 times and to carry this offense. They've got to be able to run the ball.
Yeah.
They have to.
What Cousins has put up some pretty impressive numbers this year, despite the record. Is Minnesota just really at this point just the Cousins show? Do you expect him to put up a lopsided number against Carolina, or can Carolina's defense actually kind of hold them in check a little bit?
Well, as long as they can line up and clock the ball when they're supposed to, and the Vikings offensive group is on point, then if you tell me Minnesota puts up close to 30, 35, it wouldn't surprise me. They have the weapons to do it.
Yeah.
It's just it just seems like there's a disconnect there. I don't know what it is. They have weapons there. It's not like the cupboard's bare. Yeah, Cook is gone, but they've got Madsen's solid. You got Jay Jetta as always. You've got Hawkinson. You've got guys. So the question is, what's going on that this team just can't win games? Their defense isn't horrible, but they should have won last week. They didn't. So this is the game I think they have to win, and they know it. If they have any playoff aspirations, they have to win this game. They go 0-4. I think at that point you start shopping Kurt and say, okay, let's go. We're just going to start over.
By some stretch of the oddest fate imaginable, and Carolina wins, what does that mean for Minnesota? Do you think that that Cousins is traded by end of week, or do they still kind of ride it out like Denver's riding it out with Russ?
No, I think you honestly have to sit there and say, you know what, maybe it's just time. Maybe this is the sign that says, hey, you know what? We were close a couple times, last year, we won all those close games. We've made the playoffs, but we just can't do it. Maybe it's time to move on. And I think you have to, because you go down 0-4. I don't think that team is strong enough to do anything, especially because you got the Lions playing well. The Packers are the Packers. I think they're going to be almost a Jekyll and Hyde situation.
Right. Yep.
The Bears, well, yeah. Okay. So besides the Bears, so they're probably the third best team in their division, and there are other teams in other divisions that are better. So there's no way they're making the playoffs. So if someone comes to you and says, hey, here's a package, what's up with Kirk? I think you have to do it. You've got to look to your future.
Do what you need to do, and if you can't beat a team that cannot pass protect a bag of potatoes.
Yeah, basically at that point, exactly. You do what you got to do. Let's be real. It's not like you're mortgaging the future for a Super Bowl. You don't have that talent.
Yeah.
So if that means you get somebody better, and you got to tell Jay Jettis, hey man, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we feel is best. He gets mad, then so be it. But you have to think long term for the franchise. You want to limp to like a 7-10 record? If that, okay, then that's how you end it. When you could trade Kurt and probably get some decent trade pieces and start to build.
Especially from a team like the Jets, who would probably be desperate for him.
Exactly. They could probably give you some pieces. I'm sure they've got some stuff. There you go. Just don't take Zach Wilson.
Yeah. No. The other winless bowl this week, and this one might be the one game to get you as riled up as that Jets game. These two absolute dumpster fires of franchises this year: the Denver Broncos and the Chicago Bears.
What are you talking? This is elite. This is elite football. This is elite football. How dare you disrespect these proud franchises that have fallen on miserable times? This is fun stuff right here. Woo!
I wish this was on Sunday night. Oh, just for the disaster that will ensue.
Really, I wish the flex would have started this week. I would have flexed that sucker in. No one would have watched that. Me and like 5 other people.
Yeah.
And I would have sat and watched the whole thing so I could just watch the comedy ensue. Because this is going to be a hot mess. You're basically playing for who's going to be the 32nd worst team in the league. That's what this is. You're playing for number 1 pick right here. It's exciting.
If this was European soccer, they'd both still be relegated.
Oh man, I don't think there's a place to relegate these two to. There is nowhere to send these guys. Maybe like your local flag football league at the Y. That's about where this is going. This is horrible. Right here.
With Zach Wilson.
With Zach Wilson. MVP Zach Wilson. The Chattanooga Lightning or something. Like, this is horrible, man. This is not going to be good.
But I got to put your feet to the fire, though. Who is going to win this game? Or is it going to be the dreaded tie?
Imagine that.
A 0-0 tie.
No, like a 6-6 tie. Imagine that. At that point, Bears and Broncos fans are burning stuff. It's done. They're just gonna say we don't care. They're just for the rest of the year. Wow. If I had to pick one, wow. Wow. There's no such thing as going out on a limb on this one. I'm gonna take the Bears. I like Justin Fields. I'm gonna say the Bears. Now watch, Russ is gonna throw for 350, 4 touchdowns, make me look like a fool. But you know what? Hey, Broncos fans need something to cheer for. But no, I'm taking the Bears in a wild one on that.
How much lower can it get after giving up 70 points to lose to the Bears?
Like at that point, it's like, why do I even go to work? Like if I'm those Garrett Bowles, exactly. He's played there for like 7 years, and he's like, I'm just tired of losing. Like that's all he's known is losing since he's been there. And remember the hype when they got Russ. Like they were all over that place. Like NFL Network was living in Denver. You couldn't get away from Russell Wilson. Now it's like he's the plague. Like no one wants to know, no one wants to watch.
Plague.
Like it's like, oh, the Broncos are on. Nope, forget it. I'm switching it over to Lawrence Welk. My grandma used to watch that. I'd rather watch the Tiny Bubbles or something. It's horrible. No one wants to watch the Broncos. Honestly, and I think Sean Payton is sitting there saying, yep, this is exactly how I wanted it to go. I'm going to let it burn, and then I'm going to rise it like a phoenix out of the ashes, and they'll win like 12 games next year with whoever. It's like that's what's going to happen, man. This is horrible. And the Bears are no better.
They'll open up the gates for Kirk Cousins after his 3-month rental in New York, and it'll be like Mile High lights up again.
Hey, you never know. Maybe the Broncos. I'm sure the Broncos will have a lottery pick. I don't know how they can not make their way into the lottery.
Yeah.
And who knows? They'll pick a top 3 quarterback, and Kurt will mentor them, and then the Broncos will be back.
Yeah. What?
So bad.
So bad.
So bad. I feel for both fan bases. I truly do. I feel for you.
Wrapping up our show and kicking off in a mere matter of moments at this point, we're going to go to Mario, London for the first of our annual trip of international games. And the Jaguars, they've been kind of the staple of the international games over the last several years. Although they're actually good this year. So we've talked about this in the preseason, I think.
Well,
it would be weird if they
on paper they're good.
Yes. Yeah.
On paper they're good. Right now, I don't know what they are, but
yeah.
Okay.
Do you think so? This is a good opportunity for them to right the ship. Okay. Atlanta, they got off to this hot 2-0 start. They came back down to earth last week against the Lions. Ritter got finally exposed a little bit. Is this the week that Jacksonville is like, okay, here's a team that shouldn't be what they are. We can take advantage of them and we can run them out of the door. Plus, they're probably not very experienced playing overseas. We do this every year. We do this twice a year. So is this the game for Jacksonville to right the ship?
No, you said it absolutely. They are the staple. They're the staple team that goes overseas, because everyone has talked about the Jags at some point maybe moving overseas because the NFL wants to expand. And everyone said that the one team that would start that possibly would be the Jags. Shad Khan has talked about how he loves going overseas and being that team. I would feel horrible for Jacksonville fans if they decided to move them overseas, but the NFL is starting to grow immensely overseas, so they would be the team. But yeah, this is the game the Jags have to have. The Falcons, they're not gonna know what to do when they get over there. It's gonna be a total mind mess for them, because especially if you haven't done it before. The team is really young, so they have to get used to your body, getting used to your sleep patterns and all of that. So for the Jags, it's like a normal day at the office. So And with that talent, the Jags need this game. They really need this game to kind of get themselves back and focused.
Yeah, that's so that would take them to 2-2. Barring what the Colts do, they could wind up in theory back in first place or tied for first place. Well, I guess they would because they beat us already.
Chase, man, last week, we're beating the chest. You should just be like the division leading Colts. That's what you're supposed to lead with, man.
No, you know what? I'm
when
still beating my chest.
lead the division and you're like, they're chasing us.
After what I saw in that Monday night game, that Cincinnati Monday night game, after seeing the abysmal display that was that Rams offensive line, I'm still beating my chest. Honestly, even with zero pass rush that we don't have, whatever the correct wording on that would be, we should still get to Stafford and get at least 4 sacks on him because that offensive line was absolutely abysmal last week. So no, I'm still beating my chest. Jags, you're still gonna play second fiddle. I don't care if you beat the Falcons. Done.
There you go. See, that's what I like to hear. You got to own it. But no, yeah, the Jags should, basically all they've really got to do is just stop the run. Oh Lord, here we go. I should have kept quiet. But no, the Jags, they stopped the run and they basically stopped the Falcons because unless Desmond Ridder finds his arm and wants to throw for 400 yards, it's not going to happen. It's the Jags game to lose.
What you've seen out of the Jags defense this year, can they take Bijan out of the equation? Because obviously, if that's the case, it's going to get silly.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think the Jags defense they're fast. They're fast. I think sometimes some silly penalties on that defense, but they're young. So I think if they play within the framework of that defense and just focus, and just hold Bijan, I think they're all right. They also have to worry about Algier too. That kid is good too. They have a nice 1-2 punch. So, I think you focus on the run, and I think they'll be okay.
And it just dawned on me because this game is going to be Toy Story animated. Are you more likely to watch the regular game? Or are you more likely to watch the animated Toy Story game?
I have bounced back and forth all week on this. I don't know. So I may have it playing twice so I can kind of see which one I like. I am slightly leaning towards the Toy Story aspect, especially if this game becomes a mess and I just need some noise in the background till, my traditional 1 o'clocks hit the screen. I may have to go with the Toy Story one, and then I'm sitting here going, is this just really another just money pull by the NFL? Like, do we really have to do this?
Yeah, it is.
Like, years ago, I thought Toy Story was over. Andy went to college. Andy moved on with his life. Andy, at this point, is like a 35-year-old man with a wife and kids. Those toys are like holding up some kid's PlayStation 5. Like, no one cares about freaking, oh, my Lord. Jeez. Buzz is in like the bottom of some kid's closet. No one cares. Woody, his string's ripped off. He's hanging in. He's some dog toy now. Let's be realistic here. It's over. But hey, the mouse is dabbling in the NFL a little. Who knows? Maybe the mouse gets a team.
Wow, it just wouldn't surprise me. That an Apple.
I'm telling you, man, it's the truth. Orlando's been begging for a team since they're bringing back the Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
the no bowl.
The no bowl.
I like to call it because no one watches that,
and no one wants to play in it.
I think it's the NFL maybe trying to grab onto keeping the young kids around, the younger generation. But I think families do that because it's a generational thing, especially in towns like Green Bay and Chicago, where, it's a family tradition to go to these games, to be a fan. Exactly. You're passing the torch. Poor Jets fans are getting jerseys of Zach Wilson and stuff from Mark Sanchez, horrible things like that, rags to wash your cars, whatever. I apologize. No. But it's one of those things where I think the league's like, we're going to keep the kids in it. And, they work with Nickelodeon too. So, hey, you go where you can get the money. That's what the league's about.
Right. Well, what we're about is passing off all these games to you folks a little earlier than most because we've got this international game kicking off in a few minutes. And catch us after all the afternoon games finish up. We'll be live on YouTube to break down what we saw and hopefully some good stuff and not so much bad stuff. Week 4, Bucks McGee, take us off air.
All right, first, Jets fans, don't hate me. I didn't mean anything by it. I'm there for you. If you need a shoulder to cry on, it's fine. But there is no hope for you. No hope. Let's start the get Kirk chance. I'm there for you. Everyone enjoy week 4. It's gonna be a lot of Swiftapalooza as always. Week 2 of that. Enjoy your games. We'll see you soon.